What's going on, everyone? So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at forts and skeleton fleets. In this video, we're going to be comparing forts and skeleton fleets. So we're going to be comparing the payout, how much rep you get, how long it takes, and the setup that is required. Just very quickly though, if you are inclined, I do have a Twitch account. It'll be linked down in the description, so you can go check that out. If not, you can just search The Cynical on Twitch and you will find me. On there, I play games, sometimes Sea of Thieves, sometimes other games, and I always have people with me. So if that is something you are interested in, feel free to check it out. Anyway, with that being said, how about we get straight into the video? So naturally, the first thing we're going to be talking about in this video is the setup process. So by that, I mean how long it takes to set up if you are going for a fleet, or how long it takes to set up if you are going for a fort. So naturally, let's start with the skeleton fleet. So for me, roughly, I've found that you're going to need somewhere between 100 to 150 planks, around 200 to 300 cannonballs, and if you can get some gunpowder kegs, it definitely help you out. If not though, and you don't want to set up, you can use a bucket method, which pretty much requires you to leave a hole on your ship and just continuously bucket water into the ghost ships. Do take in mind though, this does take a while, so setting up is probably going to be your best way to go if you want to take down fleets. But anyway, the hardest part of this is getting the cannonballs. So roughly on average, that's going to take you somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes. Usually for me anyway, that's how long it takes to get the supplies. And usually I find most of the supplies that I need on inactive forts. And usually forts aren't too hard to come by considering how widely they are spread around the Sea of Thieves world. So to summarize, you're pretty much going to want to put 20 minutes aside just to set up if you are going to take down the fleets. Moving on now to the forts though. So thankfully, if you want to go for forts, they are a lot easier than skeleton fleets, so you don't really need to set up anything at all if you are going for a fort, because all the supplies that you're going to need are found on the actual fort itself. That will include the gunpowder barrels, food that you'll need. I don't suggest using bananas because they're not overly great now after the new update, plus cannonballs, planks, kegs, and pretty much everything else you need. Now the fact that everything is found on the fort makes it a clear winner that if you do have a bit of a time crunch and you don't want to spend too much time on the game and just get some levels and some easy cash, due to the setup process alone, forts are going to be the way to go when you compare them to skeleton fleets. So just for reference, that is a big tick in my opinion for forts as compared to skeleton fleets. Moving on now to the payout. So spoiler, both fleets and forts do pay out really well. Now with forts, you're looking at roughly the high teens or around the 20,000s with the total payout that you get. Of course, included in that is all the specialty items, so the stronghold chest, the stronghold skull, the bone dust, and the mega keg. Now all of those of course are really great for reputation, so that's very important to note. I'll touch on that a little bit later. And on the other end of the scale, you have the fleets. Now the fleets, of course, they're going to give you random items inside the skeleton ships. So if you didn't know, inside all of the skeleton ships, usually, most of the time, you're going to find random bits of loot scattered around. So if you can manage to get that onto your ship, of course, that's going to bump up your total payout by a fair bit. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to talk about the confirmed items that you do get inside a skeleton fleet. So of course, when you do complete a skeleton fleet, you're going to find that there is a captain's ship. And once you sink that captain's ship, a few bits of loot are going to rise from the bottom of the ocean. And those confirmed pieces of loot are always equal to the same stronghold chest and stronghold skull that you will find in a fort. And the best part about that is there's going to be 4 of each item that's going to spawn. So roughly just estimating in total, judging by the confirmed items that you get alone, which are the items that come up from the final skeleton ship, you'll be looking at roughly around 10,000 coin just for completing the fleets. Do take note though, although that is less than what you get from a skeleton fort, I'm only comparing the confirmed items that you get outside of a fleet. And the reason I'm only saying that is because it's pretty much impossible to work out what items you're going to find inside of a ship, because most of the time it is a complete gamble. So you're going to find that the payout for a skeleton fleet isn't overly great when you compare it to a fort. Although, on the other side, I'm going to have to tell you that the reputation that you get is way better for a skeleton fleet than what it is when you compare it to a fort. And the reason I say that is because you get 5 of each individual items, so that can boost your gold orders and your order of souls up if you really need it. So finally, let's talk about the time that it takes to complete these individual events. So I'm not going to be talking about the setup, I'm just going to be talking about the actual time to complete either the fort or the fleet. So starting off again, let's talk about the forts. So on average, a fort is roughly going to take you around 25 to 30 minutes to complete. Of course, this can change depending on what your personal player skill is, how many people you're doing it with, and just a whole bunch of different variations. But a general average, I believe, is around 25 to 30 minutes. So around 25 to 30 minutes isn't overly bad when you consider how much loot you do get out of it and how many reputations and levels you get from completing a fort. So moving on now to the skeleton fleets. Now skeleton fleets, in my experience, do take a little bit less. For me, they'll take around 20 to 25 minutes. Of course, that is for me. I'm not entirely sure how long it would take for most people, considering you have to put into account how many people you're playing with, what ship you're on, plus how many supplies you have, and just a bunch of other variables. So for me, it takes me roughly around 20 to 25 minutes. Now, time-wise, that is better than the fort, but either way, when you do take into account everything that I just said, I personally believe that forts are a much better option for pretty much everything in general when you compare them to fleets. Now, of course, that's just my opinion. If you do have another opinion, please post it down in the comments because I'd love to read it. And of course, your opinion is just as valuable as my opinion. So anyway, hopefully this video has clarified some of the key differences that you're going to have to take into account if you are looking to take on some forts and some fleets. But either way though, if you have enjoyed, feel free to leave a like. It does help out the channel. If not, comment down in the comment section and tell me what you think I can do to improve the quality of my videos. Anyway, with that being said, thank you all for watching, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next video.